All right, ready for another deep dive? This one is going to flip your ideas about relationships upside down.
Oh, I love it when it gets deep.
We've got this incredible audio from a spiritual teacher, not the typical self-help stuff. They're talking about self-love, enlightenment, and romantic relationships.
Oh, yeah, those are all tied together in some pretty wild ways.
Seriously, this is like a master class in the stuff most people are afraid to talk about.
What I find fascinating is how they start with something we all kind of know. So many people are single these days. But instead of just saying, oh, that's sad or whatever, they use it to ask these really deep questions like, what does it even mean to be fulfilled?
Yeah, I love that. It's like a puzzle, right? Not just a random fact. And they don't mess around with their opinions either. They just come right out and say self-love is like the foundation for good relationships and for spiritual growth.
Yeah, you can't build a house on shaky ground.
Exactly. They even have this crazy metaphor. They compare finding a partner before you have self-love to choosing to share a bed with a smelly old man instead of with your own soul.
Whoa, that's an image that sticks with you. But it makes you think, right, where are we putting our energy?
Right. Like, are we taking care of our own well-being? Are we working on ourselves? Or are we just hoping someone else will magically fix everything?
Like, are we clinging to the smelly old men in our lives?
Oh, I love that.
Instead of embracing what truly nourishes us.
It could be a job you hate, a toxic friend, even a bad habit. Anything that's draining you instead of lifting you up.
Exactly. And that brings us to another point they make that's a little scary, but important.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it.
The fear that pursuing enlightenment will wreck your relationships.
Oh, I've heard that one a lot. People worry that if one person starts growing, the other will get left behind.
Totally. But this teacher flips that idea on its head.
Oh, how so?
They say enlightenment doesn't destroy relationships. It just shows you what they're really made of.
Interesting. So it's like a test.
Yeah, sort of. They even say it can make you a better partner, more present, more joyful.
Uh-huh. Maybe even a better cook.
Exactly. But they make a distinction between, healthy relationships and ones that are like toxic or karmic.
Oh, yeah, there's a difference for sure.
The unhealthy ones are the ones that fall apart when one person starts waking up.
It's like they can't handle the light, It exposes all the cracks.
Yeah, exactly. So it makes you think, doesn't it?
Oh, it definitely does.
Are we in relationships that support our growth, or are we holding each other back?
Because this teacher, they don't sugarcoat it. They say it's pathetic, cheap, even cowardly to use a relationship as an excuse to avoid growing.
Yeah, they're calling us out. It's like, stop blaming other people for your own stagnation,
Right. It's about taking responsibility.
for your own journey, for your own happiness.
Okay, so what happens if we are in a relationship and we do want to grow? How does that work?
Well, this is where it gets really mind-blowing.
Okay, hit me with it.
This teacher talks about these pre-birth agreements.
Pre-birth agreement.
Yeah, like before we're even born. Sometimes couples agree that only one person will go for enlightenment in this lifetime, while the other one provides a safe space.
Whoa, hold on. So it's like a cosmic contract.
Exactly.
But wouldn't that be limiting?
Well, that's the paradox, isn't it?
Yeah.
On one hand, enlightenment seems personal, like
Yeah.
something you got to do alone.
All right.
But on the other hand, maybe we choose these roles.
Before we even get here,
It's a wild thought.
it makes you question free will, if we've already made these agreements.
Exactly. Like, how much choice do we really have?
Then what happens if one person, outgrows the agreement?
Oh, that's a good question. And it leads to this really surprising thing they say.
What's that?
They claim it's easier for an atheist to reach enlightenment than a devoutly spiritual married person.
Wait, what? That doesn't make sense.
I know, right? It seems totally backwards.
But I guess it depends on how you define enlightenment.
That's the key. They're saying attachments hold us back, whether it's to religious belief
Or to a partner.
or
So it's not about how much you believe, it's about how free you are.
from expectations,
Mm.
from anything that keeps you from seeing your true nature.
Okay, I think my brain is officially bent.
Mine too, but in a good way.
Yeah, definitely a lot to unpack there. We need to take a break and let this all sink in for a minute.
Agreed.
All right, so we've talked about self-love and those challenging relationships, and even those cosmic contracts, those pre-birth agreements.
Yeah, some heavy stuff.
But there's one more thing from this teacher that I think will really resonate with people, the lost love syndrome.
Oh yeah, this one hit me hard.
It's this idea that we all have this memory of a past love that sets the bar, like, impossibly high.
Like nothing will ever compare to that person.
Exactly. Like a ghost from the past haunting all your relationships.
Right. But I have to admit, when I first heard this, I thought, well, doesn't everyone have that? Some old flame they think about sometimes.
Yeah, I get that. But this teacher, they take it a step further. They say this lost love is, like, idealized to an almost mythical level.
They describe it as this time of pure connection, total freedom, no karma, no baggage.
Like a fairy tale romance.
Exactly.
But that's what makes it so dangerous,
Right.
right? If you're always comparing your current partner to this fantasy, no one will ever measure up.
And it's not just romantic relationships either. This can apply to friendships, family, even ourselves.
Okay, so it's that feeling of longing, that something's missing. But if it's not about a real person, what are we actually yearning for?
This is where it gets really deep.
Okay, I'm ready.
This teacher says the lost love is actually our own soul, our higher self.
Whoa, hold on. So we're not just pining for an ex. This is like a spiritual longing.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm following.
They say there's this veil of separation between us and our soul.
And that creates this feeling of incompleteness.
Yeah, like something's missing, so we try to fill it with external stuff. Relationships, possessions, achievements.
But nothing really satisfies.
Because we're looking in the wrong place.
So what are we supposed to do instead of chasing that perfect partner?
Connect with our own soul.
Sounds simple enough. But how?
Well, they don't give a step-by-step guide, but they emphasize self-awareness, introspection, letting go of old beliefs that hold us back.
So it's about creating space to connect with that deeper part of ourselves.
Exactly.
That's tough though, right? With all the distractions in the world.
Yeah, it takes effort. But even small things help. Spending time in nature, meditating, journaling.
It makes me think about those pre-birth agreements. What if when we prioritize our spiritual growth, we're actually fulfilling a soul contract?
That's interesting. Maybe those agreements aren't about limitations, but about creating the perfect conditions to remember who we really are.
And maybe when we pursue our own enlightenment, we're helping others awaken too.
That's a beautiful thought.
It's like our journeys are all connected somehow.
In this grand cosmic dance.
It makes you wonder about all those single people. Maybe it's not a societal breakdown. Maybe it's a sign of a spiritual shift.
Yeah, like a collective awakening.
Instead of seeing singlehood as a failure, what if it's an opportunity?
For deep self-discovery.
A stepping stone to something greater.
I love that.
It's like we're reclaiming the narrative.
Being single can be powerful.
A time for introspection, to build a loving relationship with yourself.
And that's the foundation for all truly fulfilling relationships.
And it all comes back to that, doesn't it?
It does.
It's funny, right? We started talking about all these single people like it was a bad thing, but this conversation has totally changed my perspective.
I know, me too.
It's like being single isn't a problem. It's an invitation.
An invitation to what?
To go deeper into ourselves, to explore that connection with our soul.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. If we're always looking for love outside ourselves, we might miss the most important relationship of all.
Exactly. The one with our own true nature. But it makes me wonder, if that love is already inside us, how does that change how we choose a partner?
That's a big one.
Are we still trying to find someone to complete us? Or does that whole idea just disappear?
I think it might disappear.
Yeah.
When you're not coming from a place of lack, your whole approach to relationships changes.
So instead of looking for someone to fill a void, we're looking for someone who, I don't know, resonates with our soul.
Yeah, maybe.
Someone who inspires us to grow.
Exactly. Someone who sees our wholeness and challenges us to become even more ourselves.
It's not about fixing each other. It's about journeying together.
Like two whole circles coming together.
Instead of two halves trying to become whole.
I love that image.
And when you come from that place of wholeness, there's less pressure, less neediness.
More freedom to just be yourself.
And more space to grow without feeling threatened.
Because growth can be messy, you know?
Oh, tell me about it. And it doesn't always happen at the same pace.
Yeah, and that can cause friction.
Even in the best relationships. So how do we navigate that?
That's the million-dollar question.
How do we honor both our own journeys and the needs of the relationship?
I think it takes a lot of communication,
Definitely.
compassion,
Yeah.
and a willingness to let each other evolve.
At our own pace.
Exactly.
Maybe a sense of humor wouldn't hurt either.
Oh, for sure.
Got to be able to laugh at the awkwardness of it all. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one thing you want our listener to remember?
The love you're seeking is already within you. Don't wait for someone else to give it to you. Cultivate that connection with your own soul.
And watch how it changes everything. Your relationships, your life, the world around you.
It's a ripple effect.
That's beautifully said. And remember, this journey of self-discovery never really ends, and we're here to help you explore it every step of the way.
Thanks for joining us on another deep dive.
See you next time.